Hi, I'm here today with author, speaker, writing coach, mother, wife, everything, Laura Thomas. And I'm so pleased to meet you, Laura. She's living in Kelowna, British Columbia, and we just discovered that her writing partner is actually one of my closest friends. So that was pretty funny. I'm going to get off of here, Laura, and have you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. Thrilled to be here. And it is a very small writing world, for sure,
Yes, it is.
with our little mutual friend. Well, what can I tell you? I've been living in Canada for half of my life now. I'm originally from the south coast of England. I married a Welshman and lived in Wales for some years. And we love it here in British Columbia. It's a beautiful place to live in Kelowna. And I homeschooled my 3 children for 13 years. That's definitely part of my journey. And I'm probably what you would call a later bloomer when it comes to writing. My writing journey is fairly unique, as I think everybody's is. We all have our different ways of getting here.
I think so.
But it was something that I buried for a very long time. And once I finally realized it was what I was created to do, there's been no stopping me. And so now I'm delighted to just be writing full time, doing my writing coaching, and encouraging others. And yeah, it's a wonderful, it's a wonderful life, I was going to say, and that sounded very Christmassy all of a sudden.
Yes. Well, and you have a wide range of books. I was on your website looking at, and you touched on coaching. So if you started writing later in life, how did you end up being a writing coach and have all these books done? I mean, you don't look like you could possibly be that old. So I can't imagine, if you consider later in life, what that means to you. But
Well, let me give you the basic story. So I wanted to be a writer when I was very small. When I was a little girl, that was my big dream. And I actually didn't tell anybody about it. And I ended up burying that dream for 25 years. So that's what I mean when I say I was a late bloomer. So I kept that very much to myself. I didn't think it was ever anything I could do. I didn't think it was in the realm of possibility until my husband actually kind of drew it out of me over coffee one evening when we were talking about dreams and aspirations. And I did confess to him, even though he had known me forever, we've been dating since I was 14.
wow.
I told him that I want to write a book one day. It's just a dream. And so he really dug in, and he was like, what? Why didn't I know about this? And why aren't you doing it? And so at that point, I sort of thought I was, I said, maybe when we retire, it seems like the sort of thing to do, when we're older and haven't got kids at home, because I was in full force of homeschooling my kids and all the other things. And he just encouraged me that night, if I really wanted to do it, to start now. And I would find the time if I wanted to do it that badly, and he would support me. And so I did. So
Oh,
everything changed that night.
well, good for him. My husband's like that too. I like hearing about a husband who's totally
Yeah.
supportive. That's really
Oh,
nice.
makes such a huge difference, for sure.
Absolutely.
Um, So, I mean, I started off in banking. I left school when I was 16 and went into banking for my first 6 years. So I have no idea where to begin when it came. I just knew that I love books. I've always been bookish. I adored teaching my children to read as I was homeschooling. And I wanted to write picture books, which you might you might giggle at when you look at my website and think you're a picture sweet. So that was the dream. And so I started off literally at square one, and I went into the Institute of Children's Literature correspondence courses and started learning how to specifically write for children. And that's where I first got published in magazines, little short stories for children.
Mhm.
And that's kind of how my writing journey began.
Wow.
Um, and it just kind of took on a lot of different twists and turns that I really didn't see coming.
Well, that's life, right? You just never know.
Oh, yeah, and I think I was just open to it. I mean, as a Christian, I just prayed that if this was what I was supposed to do, that God would open doors and give me the courage to step through them. So my first actual published book was a Christian teen fiction novel. And like I said, it definitely wasn't a picture book where I imagined it to be, but my daughter at the time was of that age, and so I think I felt really burdened to write a hope-filled story that was relatable to teen girls, but also had that nugget of hope and a Christian story to it. So that was kind of where it all started.
Well, is that
and
one
it
of
just,
your, was that one of your Three Tears
the
trilogy?
Tears, yeah, that was Tears to Dancing. So that
Wow.
was back in 2012.
So 10 years ago now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Exactly. Yes, 10 years ago. So that's kind of where it
Interesting.
began. And it just sort of, yeah, it just blossomed from there, really. My publisher, I had a small publisher, and she wanted another one, so I just wrote another book. I definitely had it in me for a different character from the first book, and then that became a trilogy. My daughter then got married, and I wrote the nonfiction marriage book.
Yeah,
just because,
let's touch on that for a minute. Touch on that
yeah,
one for a minute,
sure,
because of all your books that you have, and you have obviously the children's books and beautiful covers, and then you have your Orphan Beach novels books, and your all those, and then you have this Pearls for the Bride nonfiction book. So now I
know.
see what is motivating you is the seasons in your children's lives.
I guess so. Do you know what? I've never actually thought about it like that, but yes, I think so. For sure. People do ask, do I wish I'd started writing, gone to school for it and started earlier. But I really feel like all the years of waiting to kind of wield my pen, I was learning and growing and just experiencing life, and all that I have been able to use then in my writing in some form or another. But yeah, you're right.
Well,
My
it's God's timing, not your timing. I mean, I hear you. How many
Yes.
times I've said, I wish I had done this then, if I wish I had started this earlier. But God really does lay out the timing for what his purpose is instead of what our purpose is. And I think that plays into
Yeah,
it. So, I mean,
absolutely.
maybe if you had started writing earlier, you wouldn't have done your Tears trilogy.
Oh, I dread to think what I would have written if I'd started writing in my early 20s.
Because what
I
do we
really
know? I was thinking when I
nothing.
first started writing, it's like I started writing, I wanted to write it from the time I was 12. And when I was with my kids, small writing, it's like I didn't know anything. I mean, you have to
Yeah,
write from something. If you haven't lived life, what are you sharing with other people?
yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, I know. It's very true. So yeah, I think you're right. I've just kind of just been listening and watching and trying to pay attention. That's something I'm always trying to do, is to pay attention to what's going on around me, in my life, in others' lives, in the
mhm.
world, and just yeah, just try and keep things relevant.
Is that
So
where you
yeah, that
get your
was
message in your books? Is a message coming from your observations? I mean, obviously the teen trilogy came from your daughter's life, but your other books, the Glass Bottom Boat, the Lighthouse Baby, the Christmas Cabin novella, which just came out. So just so the listeners are understanding, we're actually recording this December 13th. So by the time this comes out, it'll be March. So her crack about, oh, it's a wonderful life and Christmassy, and we're talking Christmas novella that just came out, it's, so unless Jesus comes back, this will be published 3 months after we actually talk about it. So those books, do those come from a place of what you've observed, or from a place of your own life experiences, or what inspired them specifically?
That's a really good question. The actual trilogy, so that's the Glass Bottom Boat, the Lighthouse Baby, and the Orphan Beach. They're called the Flight to Freedom series. And so all of those kind of the underlying themes are looking for free. They're about three friends, three different women. The stories are intermingled, but they're all standalone. But it's all of them looking for freedom from whatever it is that's holding them back in life. And so I think the inspiration for the first one, for the glass bottom boat, actually came when we were on vacation in Jamaica, because it's set in Jamaica. And I have this very irrational fear of drowning. I have no idea where it comes from. I've never nearly drowned. I've never had a bad experience, but I have a really irrational fear of drowning. And the idea of a glass bottom boat just freaked me out. But we had this one that was sitting on our resort all the week, and my husband said, you know, at the end of the vacation, we'll go out on that on the last day if you want. So I was kind of getting my brave on and going, yeah, we'll do that. I can do
getting
this.
your brave on.
I know it's ridiculous, it really is.
No,
but just the
it's
whole
not.
thought of well, I had to really wet myself up for it, but I was so ready. The last day, I was so ready to go on this, and this awful storm whipped up, and there was no boats allowed out at all. And it was our last day, so I never got to go on my glass bottom boat, even though I'd sat there looking at it all week. So I took that home with me, along with the remnants of fear, and just started wondering what awful thing could happen on a glass bottom boat. That's kind of the way my imagination went.
Yeah.
And then I just had this character come up at me, and she was just, she had a fear of it as well, and she'd had some real heartbreak going on in her story, and the whole thing had to take place in Jamaica because it was just so fresh in my mind. And so it's her faith story of her growth, and of course there's romance, it's romantic suspense,
right?
So we have the romance in there. But yeah, that's actually kind of the inspiration. That's where that particular one came from, which is.
Do you remember what year that book came out, The Glass Bottom Boat?
That was 2018. No, 2019. Okay. So I actually, those three books all came out in the space of 12 months, which was
wait, all three of them came out in 12 months?
The space of 12 months, yes. My publisher, I signed a 3-book deal, and I'd already written Glass Bottom Boat, and the Lighthouse Baby was pretty much done. And so I signed for a 3-book deal, and they decided if they would like them, boom, 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 all together. I would not personally advise any author.
So you're not saying it came out 1 year after the other. You're saying all three came out in 1 year.
Yeah, I had. So 2019 was March and May, and then the last one came out February 2020.
And how long are your books?
They're not terribly long. They're around the 70,000, 70 to 72, well, that doesn't sound something like
quite as crazy. I mean, because I do 3 books a year too, but I have 2 novellas and 1 novel. Yes. So, you know, the novellas are quite a bit shorter, but
yes,
my novels are like over 90,000. So
okay, yeah,
that's okay, but still, that's a lot. I mean, I'm assuming because you had one done, that made a big difference.
It did, but there was a moment when the first one had just launched. I was doing the final edits of the second one and writing the manuscript for the third one all at the same time, and that was a moment of, what am I doing?
A little bit of a panic there. Yeah,
honestly, it was a very, very crazy year for sure.
You've got to market. You've got to market.
Yes.
You've got to do all that stuff, and you've got to live life. So what does your typical writing day look like, or say your writing week? I mean, do you write every day? Do you?
I try to keep my weekends free if I can. And obviously, when you got a deadline, everything goes out the window. But in normal life, when we haven't got deadlines, and I've got a manageable schedule, I try to keep it Monday to Friday. I'm not an early morning. I get up at 6:30, but I'm not an early morning writer. And I'm not a late night writer either. And actually, my best times are in the in the afternoon. So I get up early. I get all my other bits and pieces done. If I've got marketing or social media or errands to run, working out, get all that done in the mornings, so that my afternoon, my brain is then ready going, I have no more distractions, I have no more excuses. I can actually do my creative part of my writing in the afternoons. So that's usually how it goes. And so I tend to literally put a line through on my planner, a line through at lunchtime, and I'll chunk my days in half. So I'll have a heart, because I do different genres. I also write Sunday school lessons and Bible devotions. So I have quite a lot of different areas going on.
Right, you're doing a lot.
So just to keep it all a little bit organized in little boxes, that's what I do. I chunk my days in little half-day chunks, and that works for me. I think you just have to find whatever works for you.
Absolutely.
As an individual, right?
I think everybody does things just a little bit differently. And I just revamped my whole scheduling to get more writing done, because see, I am an early morning person. We're up at 4:30, and even though we're up, do a Bible study, do a workout, I'm sitting by 8 o'clock writing from 8 to 12:30. And it's amazing having that. And I do all my social media later, because I am no good in the afternoon. I don't have a brain. It's all by afternoon. I'm dragging.
Oh, if I got up at 4:30, I think I would be dragging by the afternoon as well.
That's true. I mean, we climb into bed like 8:30. We're like, this is sad. It's like, okay, well, most people are up, 2 hours later, so it could be like 10:30, so that wouldn't be as bad. And so it's a little bit sad, but it's what works. We both happen to be really good morning people and not so good night people. So
that's fine. Yeah.
Although we did spend 2 evenings in Nashville last week, and we saw Lauren Daigle one night, and it didn't even start until 8:45. So
late night
for us. Yeah. Okay. So I want you to tell a little bit about your coaching and how that came to be, and how is that working for you?
Yeah, so that's a recent thing. So I've been with Hope Writers, which is a writing group for, well, it's not just for Christians, actually. It's for just any writers who are wanting to learn the business of writing, along with the craft and everything else. I've been a member for 6 years, I think now. And I was just in North Carolina, actually, at their conference.
Oh, really?
I got to be a presenter at one of the workouts there.
Oh, nice.
And so they last year put out an opportunity for anybody who wanted to get actually certified as a writing coach. And it just seemed like a good fit for me. I realized I've been doing it sort of accidentally for free for a lot of writers.
Right.
And I'd sort of been trying to do it on my website on my own, but it was more teaching than coaching. So I thought, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it properly, and I want to learn what coaching entails. And I also thought it would be helpful for me just in my real regular life as well, just to learn better listening skills, and just to be able to take that into, my husband and I do some marriage ministry and marriage mentoring and that kind of a thing. So it just seemed like a good fit, and it was something that I can do from home. It's all over Zoom, and I can fit it in with my writing schedule day, and I get to talk writing with people, which I love. So I literally was this was this time last year, so I've been certified for a year now. And so I can do that through Hope Writers, or I also have it on my website. So if anybody's not a Hope Writer member, then they just go through my website, I do a 20-minute discovery call for free, so we can see if I'm a good fit, and to see what it is that the client wants, and if it is even coaching, because sometimes people don't really know exactly what they want.
Right.
And we take it from there. But it fills me up. I really enjoy doing it. So
So these books that you have, your Flights to Freedom series, all came out except for your Christmas novella, came out 2019, 2020. So are you working on more books for your publisher other than the Christmas novella? Because that's a big gap, especially considering you had all that come out at one time. That's kind of a gap for you. So what
yes.
writing projects are you working on? Like you said, you do devotionals. You're writing other things besides books. So what all does that entail?
Yeah, well, so I wrote the Christmas novella last winter, so that's just come out now. And I've also have a literary agent who is working on my next series of romantic suspense. So I have actually completed another full manuscript for a new series of Christian romantic suspense. And this is going to be set in the English countryside. So I've actually gone back to my roots a little bit
Nice.
with a different setting. So I've been back to the UK a couple of times to do a little bit more research and stuff. So I've written a whole entire manuscript. So my agent has that and is trying to place that right now. So I'm also working on the plans and the plotting of the second book in that series.
Perfect.
I do the other miscellaneous things. I do Sunday school lessons for Union Gospel Press, just sort of on assignment when they send that to me. I've been doing devotions for Joyful Life magazine, and just blogging, the usual things. Yeah, for sure.
You're very busy.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So so how many coaching, I mean, I'm just curious how that works with your coaching, because you're doing writing and you seem like you're an outgoing, extroverted type person, which is you're not. Okay, I see that look on your face. Because I mean, talking to me, it's like talking to people exhausts me. Not that I don't love people, but to be able to coach people and you're talking to them, and that takes energy. Where do you find the energy?
I know. It just makes me giggle because everybody always assumes when they're just talking to me like this that I am extroverted, but I'm what I like to call a bubbly introvert.
And this is your perfect time too. You're like right on, right? I mean, this is your key time of the day where I'm like ready for bed. I'm like, okay, can I take a nap now? Yeah. You come across as very bubbly.
Yeah, well, I love this. Like I say, I love chatting one-on-one. I have to say, I can get very, very drained, but not doing this. Like this doesn't drain me. Like It's Christmas, so in the last week, I've had 4 different evening functions to be at. That drains me.
Yeah, I can
out
imagine.
till all hours. So I mean, coaching, and it really is, it's a small piece of my pie. I like to think of my whole writing as this pie, and I've got lots of little different slices, and so a big chunk of it is my novel writing, obviously, and my book. That's the bulk of my pie, but then I do have other slithers, and one of the slithers is the coaching, and it's great because I can fit it in to when it suits me. Your
schedule. Yeah, that's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, and if I suddenly had crazy deadlines, everything can be tweaked. So it's kind of it suits me. Yeah.
Well, and your website, I looked at it, said you mentioned that you've known your husband since you were 14. Your website says you married your high school sweetheart. So you guys have been together a long time.
Really long time. Yes. We celebrate our 35th wedding anniversary this May.
Wow.
So
wow.
It's
good for you. Congratulations. We need to see more of that longevity,
I know. We love marriage. We get to do the marriage course at our church and things like that. So we love to do pre-marriage mentoring with couples who are engaged. So it's something we're quite passionate about too.
Nice. So what does your husband do that you guys have been in the UK and now you're in British Columbia? Is he work from home? Is he?
No, he's got his own business. He's a quantity surveyor, so he works in building construction on the numbers side. So we like to say that he's all the numbers, I'm all the letters. And we will never work together in anything. We have a very definite line. We love each other dearly, and we love to do ministry together and have fun together and all the rest of it. When it comes to work, he's very organized, and he has all his precise numbers and everything, and I am the creative writer.
Yeah, you're the artsy one. That's funny.
Yeah, it works.
Well, you know what? Whatever works. If you know that you can't work together, you're smarter not to work together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So what else? So can you tell me a little bit about the book that you wrote, Pearls for the Bride? It's a marriage relationship book, and give kind of an overview of that, because I think so many of us can use that this day and age. It's an important book.
Yeah, the reason I actually wrote it, as I said, my daughter was getting married, and I started writing her a letter, and it ended up being rather wordy, and I'm like, gosh, this is actually like, I feel like it's got chapters in it. So I just wrote to my publisher at the time and said, listen, do you think this could be like a little book? It's not going to be long, but it's from the point of view of a mother of the bride to the bride. So she said, I don't think there's anything quite like that out there. Let's do it. Why not? Like,
nice.
Get it to me quick. So yeah, the first copy, literally, we had to mail it to the hotel where I was staying when she was getting married. It arrived like days before the wedding, so the timing was kind of just right. But it did work out. It's basically it's my heart to my daughter, but to any newlywed or bride to be, or just a fellow wife as well. I've got friends who have been married for decades who have read it and said, kind of wish I'd read this years ago.
Right.
But it's very practical. It's based a lot on Proverbs 31 and some of my life experience, and it's humorous and heartfelt, and a lot of people, it's just a tiny little book. It's 10 really short chapters, and people like to snag them for bridal showers. When you're invited to a bridal shower and they're like, can you bring a word of advice? And so like it's very inexpensive, just this little book.
Nice.
And so people like to do that.
With all of your marriage count, you've done the work through your church with mentoring and with marriage. Have you thought about writing a marriage book, like something a little bit more prolific?
Yes, I have thought about it. Honestly, if I wrote all the things that I think I should write, I would need to get up at 4:30 with you. I really would.
Well, you could write from the woman's perspective, and your husband can write from the man's perspective, and you could actually do a project together.
That would be fun, actually.
Yeah.
Never say never. Yeah.
I mean, you take your mentoring experience and you put it in a book that more people can learn from. I think it would. Here I am telling you here's what you need to write, Laura. Just listen to me. I'm going to coach you for a little bit here.
In my spare time, yeah.
Yeah, just get up at 4:30, no problem. You can knock out a couple hours work without blinking an eye.
There you go.
Okay, so the only other one, you've got the Candle Maker, which is middle grades. And so these are a little bit, I'm used to seeing writers write in clumps of series because they sell them in clumps of series, and you're kind of all over the place. So your middle school book, is the Candle Maker the only middle grade book that you wrote?
Yes, yeah, that's the only one that I've written so far. The others are all, I guess, are in series, because we've got the teen series, that's a series, and then my romantic suspense is all the series.
But you have Fairy Wings too.
That one, that was a self-published one. That was very much just like a family project. I actually wrote it for my niece. So that one was I still want to be a picture book writer.
I was going to say,
at the beginning, that was the dream. Honestly, that's still the dream. And literally, just last week, I sent off just some pitches to 6 different agents. I've got the manuscripts out there. I've been so close so many times. It's just been the wrong timing right now. Or we've just published one. Or, you know
Right.
how the timing thing is. So I'm not giving up on it because I still want to publish, and I know I can self-publish, but I would love to see one traditionally published at some point. So, and
Right.
I think it's important for us to have dreams. I really do.
I do.
And
Well, something to keep you going. And God plants those dreams.
yeah,
So he's gonna use them
wow.
for something.
And somebody said that to me when I was speaking at this conference, and I mentioned it, and she came up to me afterwards and she said, Laura, she said, don't give up on that picture book dream. She said, I just feel like God's placed that on your heart. So and so I'm like, oh, okay, yes, you're right.
Okay, so tell me some of your favorite picture books, or some of your favorite, there are
well,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, when I was young, I adored Beatrix Potter. So I literally had dreams. I had dreams of being the next Beatrix Potter, and I mean, there's nothing quite like that. But oh gosh, I have got stacks of picture books. I've got like a children's bookcase in my office here, and I snag them all the time. So I like to try and keep up with the latest ones,
Right.
but. Oh, I could not. Yeah, I'm not very good at picking just one. That's the problem too. There's so many great picture books out there.
Well, it's kind of
but
sad.
there's a lot of kids. There's a lot of kids out there too, right? So there's always room.
It just seems like a lot of the picture books that I grew up with are now being banned.
Oh, right.
They're trying to ban them, and it's just like, well, give me a break. We're not going to ban 50 Shades of Grey, but we're going to ban, Dr. Seuss, and we're going to ban what is it, Where the Wild Things Grow, or Where the Wild Things Are, was one of my favorite picture books.
Do they want to ban that? I didn't know.
They're trying to. I did notice they say they're trying to ban them, but the libraries, my daughter's a librarian, and she says they have a whole thing where they'll put a display of banned books, saying that they're trying to ban these books, but the library doesn't ban the books. They can't, you can't go in there and have them ban them, but they want to ban them. The whoever's in charge of the, trying to, I don't know, control whatever's going on, deciding what's good and what's bad. So it's just a little bit sad what is considered good literature and what is considered bad literature these days, because it's a little bit on a warped scale there. So
it is, but that just gives us the unction to just keep putting our words out there, right?
That's right. We have to battle it.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, it has been so wonderful talking to you. I hope when your next book comes out and you get that going, well, we can chat again, and
I'd love to.
I can then help you market that book. That would be awesome. Do you have any last words you'd like to share? Anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to cover?
Not really. I mean, I'd love to hear from any of your listeners over on my website. I've got a monthly newsletter that I send out, and you get a great freebie just for signing up. And I have a book giveaway every single month because I'm very bookish. I love reading, and I love other people to read good books. So yeah, come over, say hi on the contact page, and I'd love to get to know any of your listeners or readers.
Well, I'm going to put all that in the show notes. I'll put it in.
Fantastic.
If you are a Amazon author, I mean, do you have an Amazon author page? So I will link your website. I will link your Amazon author page. I will do a little blurb, and so people can find you. And so it should not be an issue, but it's been a real treat talking to you. And I've just enjoyed listening to your accent. I don't know. I want an accent. I'd love to have an accent.
Oh, you do have an accent.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
Relative.
The first person that I interviewed, she's from Australia, and she was pretty thick, and she's like, I don't have an accent. You have an accent. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair.
See?
And then even in the United States, we're in the South now. And so I'm writing Southern fiction. And so you fuse that whole, it's much more accented than where I originally came from. So, but anyway, it's been a pleasure. And I hope that we can chat again sometime real soon. Best of luck to you. And I know people, it is March, but I'm going to wish her a Merry Christmas anyway. So Merry Christmas to you and
Thanks
yours.
so much. Thanks so much for having me. Merry Christmas to you too.
Thank you. Bye.